Hello everyone and welcome to Cloud Every Journey Matters with Giuseppe Paterno. I'm Adele Lewis, Community Manager here at eSynergy Solutions, so welcome today. We're a technology consultancy and we deliver value from the cloud, working with small, high-functioning and experienced teams. As a business, eSynergy specialise in cloud computing, DevOps transformation and data engineering, and we support our customers to solve their most challenging technology problems and create technology solutions for business problems alike. And I'm really excited today to be joined by Giuseppe Paterno, who's a trusted advisor and worldwide cloud expert, so delighted to have him on board. Before we begin, just some housekeeping. If you have any questions for Giuseppe, please fire these over via the chat box. You'll see that on your screen, and he will answer them at the end of his talk. The recording will be made available after by email, and we'll also upload it onto our YouTube channel, which is We Are eSynergy. So now I'm going to hand over to Giuseppe, who will begin the talk. Thanks, everyone.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. So, welcome everybody and thank you for joining my webinar today. I'm Giuseppe Paterno and I'm an international cloud architect. I usually work in Europe with companies that want to start or optimize their journey to the cloud or build their own cloud infrastructure if it does make sense for them. I'm Italian, as you understand from my name. I usually live in London, but I'm currently in lockdown in Milan. And before to start, I'd love to make a tribute to those who lost their lives in this COVID-19 emergency, as it's really, really a difficult moment here. And okay, let's now to the serious stuff. So I can tell you, I've made more than 100 cloud migrations, and I can tell you each one is unique. Each one has its own way of approaching it, and that requires a tailored approach. There are different things to consider when you embrace the cloud. There is a market segment, so which company is in which market segment. There are some blueprints and things that are in common one to the other, but that varies depending on the way of conducting business, the business strategy, how the company is organized, how the workforce is, if it's on-premise, if it's dispersed, if there are any legal or compliance issues in the company, things to have to consider, and also the IT department. What are the available skills, how much the pressure is on IT, how many projects they're running, if they're doing everything okay, you know. And there are also some cultural and political factors. You know, some companies in some countries may have something to deal with. I can name somebody for political in the Middle East, for example. They don't like American-owned company, so you really need to pick the right one for them. And also in Central Europe, they are really scared of giving their data away. Let's say Germany, for example, they are really concerned about their privacy. So this is certainly possible to move to the cloud, but probably I would select a local cloud provider. Also, there are physical location of the offices. I mean, there are some locations, say, south of Italy or north of the UK, where internet connection is not that great. And moving to the cloud is definitely possible, but there are something you need to take into consideration. You need to find the right balance between the on-premise stuff and the multiple cloud, and also taking into consideration the business context. I mean, how the business is organized. And this is more than an art than a science, and requires somebody with a wide skill set, you know, ranging from network, storage, and how to manage the cloud, DevOps, and also some clues on the business as well. So it's really an art, and there are not many people out there who really can do this job. I want to share with you these data, okay? This data is coming from Forbes.com. The one you see in yellow is the real cloud adoption by market. My good feeling is that many of the enterprises in Europe are embracing the cloud, but these are market segments I want to share you with, because there is a paradox, okay? The one in yellow is the real cloud data, and the one in blue is my ideal cloud adoption. So we can see the paradox that the companies who can take the most from the cloud are really the one who didn't embrace it. Small and medium companies, as well as many manufacturing, are not embracing the cloud as they should, in my opinion, because the cloud would give you a lot, would give them a lot less hassle in the IT and concentrate into their business. My idea is that they're lagging behind because of cultural things, and also because embracing the cloud needs skill set, and it's not an easy journey, probably 1 to 2 year journey, and that costs money, and not everybody can see the value out of it. So probably they can't afford embracing the cloud in the proper way. While on the other one, say telcos, government, or enterprises are doing basically an all-in to the cloud, which is absurd, because probably on how much they spend on a cloud, they could create their own private cloud and save money. It's more, I guess, a psychological approach, because most managers says, I'll outsource everything to the cloud, either IaaS provider or SaaS provider, and I'm safe because I choose whatever brand. Okay, even they're spending a lot of money. For example, telcos, if you see the yellow, is because many of them have embraced the Salesforce. Okay, so Salesforce is a tool for automating the sales process inside the companies. It's very popular, SaaS, and I can tell you it's really good. But if you're going to spend 10 million euros or pounds on Salesforce each year, probably I would say probably you're doing it wrong, because with that money you can have a tailored experience with your own CRM. Okay, I'm not saying it's not good, Salesforce, is that you need to balance between what you spend and what you really have. And as telcos especially, there are a lot of things on premise. They have to manage things to the network, to the broadband, voice, and also government. They're embracing the cloud, but really is national security stuff. Probably, is it worth it putting it on the cloud? I don't know. There are some questions. So this is a funny quiz. Who led the digital transformation in your company? It's COVID-19. Yes, everything changed since February this year. I'm in lockdown since the 22nd of February, and most of the people are now working from home. So yeah, that's it. Everything changed. All companies were not structured to handle all this workload, because they're thinking, oh, I may be having some remote workers, but not all the works remotely, and that has a huge impact on the infrastructure. Also, for example, you might not be able to reach a facility. Let's say if you have something really tight under your desk and it's failing, okay, you can't go to the office. At least here in Italy, you can't go to the office. So you need to find a way out. And cloud is getting now the right interest into the companies. So how to approach the cloud? As I said, there is no one recipe. You have to mix and match all the different pieces out there, like an IKEA stuff. And I can tell you what are my 6 pillars to actually embrace the cloud. Okay, first one is open standards and open source. I am a strongly believer in open source. They give you the freedom of no vendor lock-in, so you can move your things to one cloud to the other and back again on premise, and vice versa, depending on how important it is, the application. Also, open standard gives you the flexibility of owning your data. If you are embracing a software as a service, for example, just make sure you are able to export your data in a common format, so you can handle your data and own it again. Keep it simple when you can. I acknowledge that many applications are complex, but sometimes I see, especially in large enterprises, an over-engineering of the solutions just because it's fun, or because there are some other reason behind that. But what I can tell you is keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate if you can, and move to the cloud. What is really not strategic to your business? Of course, depends on business to business. Telcos, for example, all the OSS, the operational support system that program the entire, for example, telephony stuff. Let's say Vodafone, just to name one. Of course, they have to have their own infrastructure at home. But if you're a factory and you depend on hardware, of course you have to have things that depending on hardware on premise, okay? But what is not core to the business and but gives you hassle, move to the cloud, okay? Use a repeatable approach and automate. This is extremely important if you want to switch from one cloud provider to the other or back again on premise or in case of a disaster recovery. I mean, let's say it, shit happens, okay? And with this strategy, you can easily move back or go to another cloud provider if you really need to do so. And as you're embracing the cloud, so crossing the internet, you have to have zero trust security. I can tell you we can spend days on this, okay? So I'll be quick. We don't have much time. And again, 6.1 is somehow linked to one, have open standards and have multiple copies of your data in different locations. I'm paranoid enough, so I usually have 2 or 3 copies of the same data because you rely on that. Okay. Just a bit more on the detail. I usually establish an hybrid identity, so I usually sync between a local identity provider, usually on-premise or LDAP or Active Directory, with an identity as a service. Could be different, okay? This gives you the flexibility of logging in on-prem, but also logging also the application exposed to the internet. Embrace software as a service when it's economically sustainable. As I said before, I mean, if you're spending a lot of money on software as a service, probably it's not what you want to do. Use software as a service safely to reduce your burden, not to increase your burden. Understand your app's SLA. This is really, really important. I've seen many companies wasting money on applications that can be, easily managed. If you cherry pick your application and understand how much availability that application needs, then you can save money. For example, a cloud provider gives you 99.99% availability on a single VM, which basically is more than enough for most of internet applications, okay? And you really spend money on the application, gives value, and is mission critical. If you don't have time to re-engineering the application, because I know it takes a lot of time, you just shift and lift VMs with the legacy app, and then you re-engineer the solution if it's worth it, okay? Docker is an automation. I don't know if you're familiar with Docker. I hope you are. This is a fantastic way to package an application. Just see Docker as a package manager and not as a virtualization stuff. With that and automation, you can move your application around and one cloud provider, the other cloud provider, back on premise, disaster recovery, just redeploy to another cloud provider, and that's it, okay? We can argue on 7 and 6 because what I said is just allow BYOD. I know that's a security concern, but if you embrace the mobile device manager, and if you do that properly, probably that will lower you the cost of maintaining the standard desktop stuff. At the end of the day, if you see, for example, at the latest iPad Pro, it has keyboard and a trackpad. It's basically a PC, but on the difference with the standard PC, you don't have to worry about software updates, operating system updates, because it's automatically done by the underlying operating system, and that will ease up a lot of things. And use PC laptop workstation only to power user. And I mean, developers, for example, or financial user, the one who is crazy Excel macros with external data and whatever. I mean, of course, has to be fitted in the organization, so it's not always possible What I can tell you is that IT manager role is definitely changing. It's more like having a kind of system integrator inside the company. What I usually foresee is that it acts as a coordinator and empowers a democratic approach to IT. And what I mean by it is that IT centralize policies, security, and best practices, but each department has its own IT ambassador. At the end of the day, even myself, I'm not a domain expert, for example, in HR. How can I select an HR application based on my experience? Because I'm not an HR, okay? I can give you the directive, user central authentication. This is our central authentication, login, security, and whatever. But the IT ambassador inside HR should be able to select the proper application, of course, with the IT manager as a consultant by quotes. Today, I'm sure I selected 3 journeys and 3 different approaches to the cloud. I tried to balance between the use cases and the market segments. I can tell you there are many, it's okay. The first one I want to share with you is an investment bank in central London, okay? This happened, the CIO happens to be a friend of a friend. They invited me for a coffee and, you know, funny conversation, want to know me, how things is doing, everything, you know, business as usual. Once he got confident, he said to me, oh, and by the way, we've been hacked. They stole £8 million. And we lost control. We need to move out of a current outsourcer in, say, a couple of weeks time, or maybe 1 month. Can you please help? And what are you talking about? You know, really challenge accepted. And I can tell you we did it. Okay. Before that, so the main reason is that this were data breach. The problem facing for many customers as well, they have a false sense of security. They have a couple of firewalls. Oh, we're fine. We got a firewall. We're spending a lot of money in a firewall. Well, it's not working for you. They just handed over some code documents to a competitor, and that's why they lost £8 million. They lost the trust in outsource. I mean, they said they sold to them, oh, we got great security, we got firewalls, best breed, you spent a lot of money, and well, guess what? It was not working. So, and the other problems they have is that they have no internal IT person. I mean, everything is just outsourced to this company. And they have really to quickly move out of this place and without letting actually the outsourcing knowing. And the good side of it is that we have unlimited budget. Okay, fantastic. Never had unlimited budget. So this is was the existing situation, really easy. Many offices with office equipment, the workstation, IP phones, printers, whatever. Lizard line fiber to the outsourced data center and network. Usual stuff, Active Directory, VMs with applications, VoIPs, PBX, and from there, from there was the internet connection and the connection to the financial data providers, including Bloomberg, that are really using a lot, okay? So when we went through this, the first thing is establish an internet connection. Then we created an empty VPC on the AWS London because of compliance reasons, of course. Then we synced the Active Directory to Office 365, eventually moved all the email collaboration stuff to Office 365, including OneDrive. And this is particularly important because I have many Excel here and there, and that was actually one of the reasons the documents were leaked. And that actually increased a lot of security. We started creating the Bloomberg and financial data providers from the central office, so they can not rely anymore on the outsourcer. Then we started shift and lifting. Well, we secured the communication with the VoIP, with an external VoIP provider, and then we shift and lift the VM to AWS in London and secured a backup copy on local NAS. And then we cut off the outsourcer. So yes, we made it in just 2 weeks and some fine printing here. Yeah, the core things in 2 weeks. most of the things in 1 month, but the project lasted 8 months, 1 year to tune up things actually. But we achieved the result. Of course, working almost 24 hours a day. I can clearly remember working on 5 a.m. We increased the overall security. Again, nothing special, but the cloud security was somehow, standard cloud security was somehow better than the security we had on-premise. Okay, and the core information was accessible only in a controlled environment, accessed via remote desktop protocol, Citrix with two-factor authentication. We decreased the need for IT support because at the end of the day, embracing all the cloud providers will lead us to few virtual machines on AWS, and this is only they should care about, okay? Patching and the user stuff, but you don't have the burden of our own infrastructure. And they are free to choose their own IT supplier and no vendor lock-in. So they have the infrastructure, they can go to a supplier, says, could you please maintain this? And then if they're not happy, change the IT supplier. And by the way, I know was not part of the main goal. We reduced cost because at the end of the day, I discovered that the outsourcer was charging hell a lot of money to them, quite unjustified, to be honest. And we reduced cost, and they're even more happy, you know. The second story I want to share with you is a global satellite operator. This story and the next one are still ongoing, okay? Yeah, probably you can remember that this guy, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, decided to say, you know what, we want to bring internet in emerging countries, especially in Africa. They invested a lot of money in trying to use drones like the one you see here to bring internet in Africa. But you know what? It turned out that it actually didn't work. Okay, so they partnered with this satellite company. They launched new satellites to cover the project. Okay, this is still ongoing. The satellite has been launched in the previous months. So we are rolling out them now. This company was already managing broadband for, say, ships, aircrafts, and some remote facilities through the satellites. Not a new business, but the fact they are facing something like 400,000 consumers now is definitely a challenge. With the new satellites, there are a huge amount of data to process. We are currently about 50 terabytes per day of raw data, and I mean, a massive amount of data. And then we have these two projects. On one side, consumer-facing projects to the external one, and the other one is increasing the capability and the reliability of the data centers, because on one side we have an increased number of consumers, on the other one they have a really bad experience while upgrading a storage. They rely on this vendor, okay, with two controllers. They upgrade one of the controller online. Actually, there was a problem with syncing the two controllers. They had the down of the world storage and the world data center. They had to switch in disaster recovery. There was no data lost, but still, you know, you don't rely to them anymore. It says, oh, you can do active. No, you can't. I mean, there are chances that will fail. And the other thing to take into consideration, that IT operation staff is not that big. They have 10 to 15 people to operate everything in the IT. Which is not that many people, but if you double think on it, they automated everything. They really had great job on automating everything. So just 10 to 15 people is enough. And they have this pressure on IT for new projects and disaster recovery capability. So first project, as I said, customer facing stuff. So Salesforce was a political decision. Okay, they decided to use Salesforce to do all the CRM and partner stuff. What we decided is to embrace Azure AD B2C. We thought initially to create something on-premise, but that would cost a lot of in terms of license and a lot of headaches in terms of upgrading, maintain reliability, multi-data center, and we compare the prices with Azure AD, and basically is, peanuts. Azure AD gives you B2C, gives you something like 50,000 customers for free, and then it's charged something like, few cents per user. So it was really cost effective. So we configured Salesforce to log in to Azure AD B2C and to Azure AD, the corporate Azure AD, so they can handle all the partner stuff and the internal stuff through Salesforce. On the other hand, we created an application on Heroku. Heroku is really particular because it has the possibility of syncing with Salesforce on the data. So the consumers are logging in to this Heroku portal, again with an Azure B2C directory that is doing most of the experience to the customer, but is actually interacting with the OSS API gateway, which again the company did to interact with the ground station equipment. And this actually gave less burden to the AT staff because it is all managed. On the other hand, the other project was about the hardware architecture. They have two data centers to the main data centers, and a lot of, they call it teleports. Basically, a teleport is like a telco point of presence, where they receive data from the satellite, they terminate the IP connection, then they route through landline. They got something like, I guess, more than 20 teleports around the globe. And there are some local data center to deal with the frequency equipment, so to deal with the dish, the satellite dish, and to radio equipment and the conversion to the landline. We decided to embrace Ceph. Ceph is a software-defined storage. It's pretty popular in the open source community, and it gives you the flexibility of choosing your own hardware vendor, choosing your own disks, and do things online. Okay, if you don't scale, so let's say at the moment, your mileage might vary. At the moment, if you are having 50 terabytes, less than 50 terabytes of data, is not that cost saving, but it does when you scale up. Not for this one, I had another project with 250 petabytes of storage, and that saves a lot of money. But in this specific case, cost was not really the driver here, but rather flexibility, the things here, you can change the hardware, the hard disk and everything. And we embraced Open Nebula. Open Nebula is a cloud infrastructure system, and we decided to embrace Open Nebula for the kettle-like workload. I don't know if you're familiar with pets and kettle philosophy. Basically, the kettle are reusable VM, fully automated. If you lost one of them, who cares? But with Open Nebula and deploying Open Nebula on a single teleport, we can do disaster recovery easily, because we take an image and an image is automatically copied on the central location. And that will ease up things when you, for example, a system is broken in the teleport. We just replace the hardware, do Ansible, and then redeploy the VMs again. So just to get some results, running services on the cloud compared on the premise is costing something like 10 times less, and release stuff from some operations, which is really the core one. Software-defined storage, as I mentioned before, brings no vendor lock-in, and hardware can be refreshed online whenever you want. And Open Nebula, less license costs than VMware. They still use big VMware, especially for the main workloads, but that will reduce license costs for Catalog workloads and achieving better DR. The last one I want to share with you is a global manufacturer. So this global manufacturer is actually a spin-off of another big global manufacturer. The main manufacturer is something like, I believe, 20 plus factories across the globe. Very, very important brand. And the spin-off has only something like 3 or 4 factories, only by quotes. And basically it's a spin-off. they decided to, take different market segments. And yeah, it was something like brotherhood at the beginning. We're taking different roads. We're siblings. You're my little brother. I will always be with you. I will take care of IT. Everything will go as usual. Don't worry about that. And you know what? After a couple of months, a few months, now get out. And I said, okay, we are no longer that sibling, but could you please move out? They decided not to. Okay, they duplicated the IT for this child company, but as part of the contract, there are no updates and no improvements. So kind of, yeah, we tolerate you, but better off if you blah, blah, blah. So the pain points are there are massive amount of legacy workloads. Okay, lack of an internal IT, this is the real problem. They have only one IT manager because at the beginning, with that in mind, was something like keeping the relational with the parent company and do it like a trade union, and turned out it's not true anymore. Okay. The cost of outsourcing from the parent company is definitely too high. They're charging a lot of money for what they have at the moment. And all this is actually bringing a slow response to the market because basically you cannot do a new product. Okay. Furthermore, and this is actually another stuff, they want to resume and provide new digital service to the market. The parent company before the split have attempted this, but they failed. The project took 2 years. They spent 2 million euros, but they didn't succeed. But we are now, okay, with a lot less effort. So this is the new architecture. I can spend ages on talking on it. We started from the legacy data center, standard stuff, Azure Active Directory. We sync it back to Azure AD, and we are starting the migration to Office 365. The funny thing is that the parent company has already migrated to Office 365, but migration to Office 365 itself was not part of a package, so we have to do it ourselves, okay? That's ridiculous. But that was good actually, because we can use Azure AD as a source of our hybrid directory. Then we decided to embrace two cloud providers. One is DigitalOcean and one Google Cloud. Can you remember the beginning? It says, understand your SLAs on your application. Well, DigitalOcean is giving 99% SLA on the VMs. So guess what? It says, okay, the non-core application can afford, let's say, a couple of hours per month of downtime. I mean, if I'm not purchasing something internally, a gadget or something, who cares? We put this application on DigitalOcean and save a hell of a lot of money. Okay, and we instead rely Google Cloud for mission critical application. All the applications we're talking about 600 applications, so this project is still ongoing, okay? We're talking about 600 applications as a target. Everything is orchestrated through Ansible as automation, and GitLab as a CI/CD pipeline. So the developer creates the code, push it to GitLab, automatically is deployed on development, compiled, deployed on QA, test run. If it's okay, it's candidate for production automatically. Then we push a button when we want to deploy in production. So this is actually manual because we want to retain control. Also, we decided to embrace Cloudflare. Cloudflare is a service to protect all the exposed applications. On the legacy data center, that would have been achieved by two systems, and they cost something like two of them 300,000 euros. Okay, while for example with Cloudflare we can have better service because we need to update the service on the other one, the rules, the security rules. While on Cloudflare that is included for really a fraction amount of a cost. Then we decided to embrace the philosophy of giving the iPads and BYOD and Windows 10 desktops or laptops and orchestrate everything through mobile device management. This is because they have a standard build at the moment, but it costs a lot of money, not in terms of hardware, but in terms of resources to create the build, create the standard build, deploy the build, update software, and blah, blah, blah. While with an MDM and an iPad Pro, you can easily deploy some corporate applications. That, of course, wouldn't apply to everybody, but at least we can get rid of some problems, okay? The other project ongoing is on the factory. The factories, actually. We just begun the project. We'll stay on VMware. We will embrace Kubernetes as well, so we can fetch the information from the factories. We say map reduce the amount of data, and then we ship the data to a central facility on Google Cloud. I can tell you this project is still at the beginning of the phase, but that's our aim in the next couple of years. So what is important in this customer is that is the organizational change. This is the real first time we decided to go from the top to bottom approach. So we changed the role of a T. We decided to create IT ambassadors in each department, reporting to the IT manager, and so that they can choose their own stuff while we can teach them on how to be secure, how to select application properly, and all to do the backup, and compliance as well. Embracing Office 365, Azure AD, and OneDrive definitely puts some easier on IT because, of course, there's everything managed. Also the licenses, we don't need to care about anything, basically. Yeah, we still need to maintain the policies, but it's a lot less burden than having a standard support to do it, okay? Multi-cloud actually shrink the spending to 25 times less than compared to the actual standard data center, which, wow, that was impressive. I mean, when we did the budget last year, 25 times less. Wow, it's a massive savings. And also the SaaS protection. I mean, this is a tiny bit, but, it's something like 50 times less expensive, than what we have been charged by the parent company. I mean, even if it's not big money, you understand the dimension of it. Okay. BYOD. Okay, we're starting embracing BYOD and commodity desktop with MDM and Azure as policy management. That would be much cheaper to operate and easier. But again, for a given set of users and a given set to standard user and a given set of users in the company. So that is actually all. That was quick, I know. We don't have much time, so I should give you a really high-level overview of how this project has been handled. I can go as much technical as you wish, really, but feel free to ask questions now, okay? These are my website and my email, but I'm waiting for your questions in the chat room.
Great. Thanks so much, Giuseppe, for that talk. Really good insights there. And we've already got some questions, so I'll just fire it over if you're ready. Great. So
yeah, just give me 1 second, please.
Sure.
Okay, fire.
Great. So first question, AWS promises us 80% cost savings by moving our infrastructure in year 1. That is without having looked at our setup at all. In my experience, cost savings happen only later once we optimize for cloud. What's your view on this?
Okay, so that's true. Okay, and I can tell you that not everybody is really optimized the cloud. So it's a long journey, okay? And it may cost a bit more in the beginning, but yeah, you need to know how are the application and how to use the application, because I can tell you, I also work for the parent company of that manufacturing company, and they're using AWS like another data center. And they were actually, you're spending a lot of money for nothing. Sorry, I'll be straight, okay? Yeah, the cloud does make sense if you do use it savory in the proper way. And also you need to be extremely careful, and that is true for AWS, but it's also true for Azure as well, because they're giving you lollipops and oh, use this service is easy to embrace for developers, you know, and then you ended up locking in with AWS. There are a couple of services there, like for example the mobile authentication. Then carving out that stuff from your application, that would be really hard. So you really have to know, to have the balance to know what you have to do, you know. And I agree with the question.
Great, thank you, Giuseppe. Second question is there any promising standard for cloud and multi-cloud portability, referring to Google Anthos, for example?
This is actually a good question. So I was in a foundation years ago, and still technically I am. It's called OpenStack. We tried to standardize the cloud with the cloud infrastructure, but I believe we failed. Okay, I say we, even if I wasn't in the board. I was board candidate for many years. The promise of a project is having a de facto common language between clouds, and also especially for the regional cloud providers. That is actually the problem, because when you embrace a cloud, if you're going for AWS and Azure, okay, that's tier one organization, and you can leave probably with different languages. But when it comes to, say, regional ones, and I can name it, for example, Dutch cloud, because I work in the project. Yeah, you should have a common language between them. But honestly, I don't think it's going to be to happen. Each one embraces the cloud in its own way, and APIs are fundamentally different. The only thing that actually incredibly worked is the S3 protocol. So this is the only protocol I can think of that is really common across the clouds. The other one is just different. And I can tell you, if you want, in those experience with the satellite operator, APIs are changing. I wouldn't say daily, but almost daily. So you have to keep up. The only thing I can say you can use in common, kind of, is using infrastructure as a code with, for example, Terraform. I'm afraid that I don't have a clear answer, and I don't think we'll end up well, to be honest. Next one.
Great. No, I think we also had just a question around whether the slides and video will be available after, and I can confirm that yes, it will. We're going to be sending out a message, so keep your eyes peeled from an email from myself, Adele Lewis at eSynergy. We're going to make sure that gets shared with my contact details, so we can continue the conversations further. And I think that's it for questions. We can give it some more time. If you want to submit, please just submit a question via the chat box.
Don't be shy. I don't have all the answers though, but I can try.
Okay, so I think that concludes our question round. I think if anyone does obviously have any further questions, I'll be sharing my details, and we can arrange some follow-ups directly. Oh, we do have another one that's come in, sorry.
Okay, no problem, I got time.
Okay, great. Is hardware security still worth like YubiKeys?
It is worth it. I mean, the problem with the YubiKey, because I actually investigated the identity, cloud and identity, something like in 2010, and was really the early beginning. I think it does make sense. The problem with the YubiKey and all the smart cards is that with these new devices like the iPad or any tablet or any phone, that's difficult to manage. Okay, but it's definitely worth it. I've seen the last YubiKeys embracing NFCs, and I truly hope that certificate-based authentication, for example, or cryptography will end up in the iPad because it's so easier to manage. But this is really a problem that is, we can talk for ages. We were arguing for a long time. The thing is that using smart card and cryptographic devices is only for power user, really. If you want, you can search on Google for, I believe, why Alice can't encrypt anymore, or can't still encrypt, something like that. Was a paper from long time ago saying, why GPG has been around for a lot, but still is not mainstream. I guess is usability stuff. Hope I answered the question.
Great, Giuseppe, thank you so much. I think that concludes the end of the questions. So thanks everyone for joining the webinar today, and for Giuseppe, fantastic talk and a lot of food for thought. If anyone would like further help on their journey to the cloud, whatever stage that may look like, and if you'd like to discuss any of the points of what's been raised today, please do reach out to me. I've popped my email in the chat box. We're going to be following up with further details, and we'd be delighted to continue the conversation further with Giuseppe. So please do reach out, and we'd love to also hear your feedback, and if you've got any suggestions of future topics, we'd love to hear from you. So thank you all for your time today, and speak to you soon. Thanks everyone.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.